Hi everybody and welcome to the channel. I'm Tim and this is Run Tall. Today I'm going to be talking about the New Balance Fresh Filmora V4. Now this is a max cushion shoe. It's been out a while, but I just picked it up to see if it's a shoe that I want to add into my rotation as that max cushion long run shoe or maybe a recovery run shoe. And I absolutely loved the earlier version. So the More V3. Now this was one of my favorites for when the year of it came out. In fact, it was my max cushion shoe of the year that year. And I retired these. I ran the miles up on them till I couldn't really get any more. And so I was pretty interested in what they did with the More V4 with this iteration of the shoe. So I took them out today. So these are my first impressions. Again, even though this shoe's been out a while, they're new to me, and I just want to share my thoughts with you. I did purchase these with my own money, and because they have been out a while, I got a discount, which bonus. You know, I paid, I think, $113. Now these normally retail for $149, and they're still going for that in many places. If you're interested, I think they're still on sale. I picked these up at Joe's Discount New Balance website. And again, I think it was $113. Now this pair happens to be the New York Marathon version of the shoe. So you can see that they have their little New York Marathon up here, but it didn't have a date on it. So I figured, what the heck? And even if it did, to save a little bit of money, I'm okay with it. And you know what? I don't even mind the white colorway. At first, I wasn't sure that I wanted to go with white, but it's really starting to grow on me. I had them out today for my very first run. I went just a little over 12 miles in these, and I absolutely loved every stride that I took in these. So let's just talk about it. They are a little bit heavy. I think on my scales, so I got my scales here. But I did weigh them initially before I took them out for that first run. I can't remember exactly what they came in at. So let me weigh them again. 10.4 ounces, and that's for a U.S. men's size 9. And yeah, so they're a little bit heavy for a daily trainer, but not for a max cushion shoe. So just keep that in mind, that for the wheelhouse that this shoe lives in, 10.4 ounces isn't terrible. And honestly, on that 12-mile run, they didn't run like a 10.4 ounce shoe does. And we'll talk about more of that here in just a minute. Now it does have an engineered mesh upper, lots of room up in the toe box, very, very comfortable. I didn't have any comfort issues at all out on that first run. So I knew right away, you know, when you put a shoe on and you take off after that, basically, sometimes just a few steps, but after the first mile, I knew I was going to like these shoes because they are just awesome. I will cut to the chase. If you're looking to pick up a shoe, a max cushion, a daily trainer, and you can pick them up on sale especially, man, these are worth the money. I will say that right up front. And they're definitely worth the $150, which is less than I paid for the More V3. I think these, when I bought them, were $165, and that's US money, I think. So they actually had a price reduction, and they made a lot of improvements over that previous version of the shoe. But lots of room in toe box, very comfortable upper, locked in and secure across the midfoot section of the shoe. No issues with comfort around my heel. The heel pocket is really nice. My heel set in place really well. Lots of padding back here, what you would expect to find in a max cushion shoe. So you can see that it's up around the collar, plenty back here in your Achilles. No issues there at all. I didn't have any rubbing or blisters, no hot spots. It just fits really well. I will say the downside, and this is one of the things that, it's one of my criticisms of this shoe as well, is that if you live in a hotter climate, these run hot. They're pretty warm underfoot. But that said, they're still a super comfortable shoe. And as a max cushion shoe, like I said, you got to kind of expect that they're going to have a bit thicker upper and a little bit more plushness. I would love it though if New Balance came out with a version of this shoe that might be the New Balance More V4 light version that had a bit more breathable upper, because that would be fantastic. Today wasn't terrible for me. I think it was around 70 degrees when I ran, but my feet got warm. Not so much so that, that I was dying to get these off my feet. In fact, quite the opposite. When I got back from running. Okay, so this, I think, is a really good sign for a daily training running shoe. When I got back, my legs still felt really fresh after that 12-mile jaunt around town. And I had to go run some errands. And these are the shoes I put on to do it because they're super comfortable to walk in as well. Oh, let's take a look at the tongue first before I move on, because I'm just about ready to roll into talking about the midsole ride. So the tongue is a little bit thinner than last year's version, as you can see here, but it's still well padded, plenty there to keep you comfortable. It isn't gusseted, but I didn't have any issues at all with the tongue kind of migrating around. I had no issues putting the shoes on. Sometimes that can be a struggle for me if the tongue isn't gusseted. It can kind of bunch up, but none of that with this shoe. Absolutely fantastic fit. So now let's talk about the ride. Now for the midsole, they have their Fresh Foam X midsole foam. They've got quite a bit of it, 34 millimeter stack height in the heel, although it looks more than that. That's because that foam kind of rides up a little bit. You kind of sit down. I often, when this style of midsole, I often refer to that as kind of sitting in the bucket seat of a racing car. So you've got 34 millimeters here, you got 30 millimeters up here with a 4 millimeter offset. So super comfortable to run, and it does have this rocker geometry here. And believe it or not, for a max cushion shoe, you do feel that. I felt like it was really smooth moving through my gait cycle. This is not a fast day shoe. This isn't a shoe that I would pick up necessarily to go out on my speed days, for example. But if you wanted to use these for maybe a progression run, or even to run fartlek, I guess, so I'll qualify that a little bit. I wouldn't run intervals in these, but if you want to do maybe some fartlek run, where it's kind of that unstructured speed day for you, or maybe you wanted, like I said, pick up the pace at the end of a longer run, maybe do some progression work. These work fine. I did pick up the pace. I didn't get to a pace that I would achieve in a speed day shoe, but I still got moving pretty good. And it felt really terrific, very smooth, lots of pop off the toe. Now, the one thing that I noticed right away is that these shoes are incredibly stable for a shoe that isn't a stability shoe. And I think it has a lot to do with this big, wide landing platform. I mean, this is Hoka-esque. If you look at this outsole, you can see just how wide a landing platform this is, which creates a really incredibly stable feeling when you're out running. I absolutely loved it. These were perfect. I had no issues at all. Right off the bat, I knew that I was going to be comfortable the entire time that I was running. I intended just to go out, maybe plot around town for 5 or 6 miles, and maybe put another 5 or 6 in them tomorrow, that kind of thing. But I ended up, like I said, going on a bit longer run than I had intended because I just loved it. I just loved being out there. They don't run like a 10.4 ounce shoe. That is for sure. Absolutely loved it. The outsole here, you can see they've got lots of rubber. So I think durability in terms of, the outsole protecting all that Fresh Foam X midsole material is going to be spot on. And you can pretty much see that I mainly, mid to 4 foot strike. So I kind of here up through here. In fact, you can see that the heel still looks pretty clean. And these felt really terrific when I was landing more towards that metatarsal head in my foot, or maybe even a little bit further up than that. So really smooth ride, buttery smooth ride in these. Absolutely loved it. I have no qualms in saying that I am going to run these miles up into the shoe until I have to retire it. There's no question in my mind. I'm going to be reaching for the shoe a lot. I do intend to go out tomorrow, and I plan to run in these shoes again tomorrow because I just absolutely loved it. They're just so much fun to run in, super comfortable. Now, this is a shoe that, I do want to compare to some of the other Max shoes that were released, like the Gel Nimbus 25, which is a more recent release. This is the most recent version of the shoe that's out there, even though it's been out a little while. But the Gel Nimbus 25 is new this year for 2023. So I kind of want to compare it to that, maybe compare it to the Bondi 8 for you guys, maybe even the Primex Strung that I just picked up as well, because if you're looking to add a Max Cushion shoe, you've got lots of choices that are out there. But that said, I think this is a really good one, especially if you can pick it up for just over $100, $113. That I think is a really good buy, and I think it's just absolutely worth the money that they're asking for it. Okay, so that is it for my first impressions for this video. Again, I'm going to be bringing you more videos on this shoe as I run up the miles, which I don't think is going to take me very long at all, because this is a shoe that I think it's going to be one that I'm going to want to pick up each and every time. I'm probably going to have to stop myself and, and rotate other shoes in, just because this is an easy one to pick up and run in, because it's just so much fun and really enjoyable. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it for you. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, right here on Run Tall with Tim.